John, my husband, prides himself on being a top state university graduate working at a major corporation, and he is always hurling insults at me. Since it was a shotgun marriage, John seems to feel like he did a favor by marrying me. When I was about 9 months pregnant, we were invited to John's cousin William's wedding. We stood up to greet John's cousin and his wife as they approached our table, where my in-laws and I offered our congratulations. After the cousin couple moved to the next table, I sat down, only to have John suddenly douse me with beer. Stunned and voiceless, I was then berated by John. "It's common sense for a wife to remain standing." "John, wait a minute. You don't even know that much? Typical high school graduate." Mother-in-law quickly took out a handkerchief and wiped my face. As I watched the drops trickle down from my bangs, I felt a surge of intense anger. I couldn't bear it anymore. I didn't care if he was the father of the child in my belly. I was ready to expose everything in front of the relatives and shatter his pointless, high pride. I'm Emily, a 42-year-old housewife. I met John through work. He was charming, like an actor. Competent, considerate, kind, with a calm way of speaking. I was impressed and quickly agreed when he asked me out. About a year later, after a series of days feeling unwell, a pregnancy test showed a positive result. Thinking John would be happy since we were in a serious relationship, I told him, only to receive a detached response. "Do you want to get married?" "Yes, of course." I was disappointed internally, as there was no proposal. Considering my health, we didn't have a wedding ceremony. After a family meeting, we registered our marriage and started living together. Even though we were newlyweds, I didn't expect a romantic life since we weren't young, and I was suffering from morning sickness. However, the lifestyle turned out to be quite different from what I had imagined. John, who had passed up the top university on his first attempt and graduated straight away, was always full of confidence, perhaps due to his good looks. "I want you to quit your job and focus on the house. My salary should be enough for us to live on." I quit my job before our marriage, as he had asked. To be honest, my morning sickness was so severe that I didn't feel confident balancing work and home. After marriage, his demeaning attitude towards me became more apparent. One day, I was so nauseous that I spent the entire day lying on the sofa, exhausted from just making breakfast and hanging laundry. When John returned from work, he saw dust on the floor and became angry. "You've been relaxing at home all day and you couldn't even clean?" "I'm sorry. I've been too nauseous to get up. Can you buy something for dinner from the supermarket next door?" "Don't joke. You expect me to eat frozen food? What if I get sick? I'll give you 30 minutes to make dinner." Frightened by John's anger, I reluctantly complied. I made pork steak and soup while repeatedly going between the toilet and the kitchen. John criticized the meal. "My mom's cooking is way better. You can't even cook a meal. That's why you missed your chance to get married." Despite hardly being able to hold a knife properly, and him being in his first marriage at this age, he said such cruel things. Complaints like these were a frequent occurrence. On another day, when my morning sickness made it hard to eat, John made a comment like this. "Even when I'm hungover, I go to work, but you get to lie around at home. Must be nice." His attitude grew increasingly presumptuous, taking advantage of my silence. John's arrogance knew no bounds. Of course, I was grateful for his hard work, working late and sometimes even going on business trips. But I was thoroughly tired of him constantly belittling me. As I managed our limited budget and got better at handling household chores, he started mocking my educational background. John enjoyed watching quiz shows on TV, ridiculing the participants when they made mistakes. As the airing time often coincided with when I used the kitchen, I frequently ended up watching with him, which made me feel depressed. He especially liked shows where college students from his junior's university competed against students from other universities. "Hey, did you get that question?" "No." "That's the problem with high school graduates. You should start over from elementary school. Anyone who gets such an easy question wrong has a brain worse than a monkey's." "You're really smart, John. It was true. He was smart. But his pleasure in looking down on me spoiled his intelligence. "It'll be a problem if our child turns out as dumb as you." He said this with a nasty smile, and I didn't even feel like responding. To make matters worse, John was also quite stingy. He gets angry when I buy a candy for about $1, yet he goes to bars under the guise of work, socializing, and opens a bottle of expensive wine, using work fatigue as an excuse. Reluctantly, I had to dip into my savings from my single days to buy cakes and meet up with my friends or my sister Mia at cafes when John was at work. "You got tangled up with a weird guy, big sis." Mia sympathized with me as I vented during lunch. Mia, who travels domestically and internationally for work, hadn't met John yet. Unlike me, who was reserved, Mia has a straightforward personality. When we were dating, he was considerate and had such a charming smile. So, his true colors showed after getting married. Hearing this kind of stuff makes me lose interest in marriage. Mia suddenly remembered something. "Speaking of which, I told you there was a reunion in our hometown the other day, right?" "Yeah, at the hotel." "After it ended, we went drinking with the usual gang, and a guy approached me." "Really?" Mia and her friends are all glamorous beauties. "That guy, he was good looking, but so arrogant. 'If you become my woman, you can live in luxury. I'll buy you a mansion or anything,' he said." Wow, sounds like he's rich. He had a wedding ring on his left hand, but still said that. So I asked him if he had a wife. Guess what he said? "What?" "My wife lives off me. Whether I cheat or spend a fortune on other women, I won't let her complain." Yeah, it was so ridiculous. We just laughed it off and left the guy hanging as we left the bar. I wonder what era he thinks he's living in. Really, though. I thought to myself that it sounded like something John would say, but I didn't want to worry Mia, so I kept quiet. Lately, being with John feels suffocating. It's not just about education. Now, he even makes hurtful comments, like this, with a laugh, as if trying to assert his dominance over me. "You understand, right? I married you because you got pregnant. Someone like you should have been dumped. I'm kind because I'm supporting you. You should respect and serve me more. You're not grateful enough." Ah, so I'm like a cat or a dog he took in, out of pity. Yes, I realized that those animals might be treated with more care than I am. This thought made me feel miserable. The kindness he showed during our dating period was all a lie, but I held on to a hope that maybe John would change after the child was born, and I couldn't bring myself to consider divorce. As I approached 9 months of pregnancy, we were invited to John's cousin William's wedding. I was feeling better, and since it was at a nearby hotel, we decided to attend. I was excited to be part of such a glamorous event after a long time. At the wedding, I was completely mesmerized by the bride's radiant beauty next to groom William. "She's so beautiful. I wish I could wear a dress like that someday." Then John laughed beside me. "Don't bother. It'll just make your ugly face stand out more." John whispered just quietly enough so his parents at the table couldn't hear. "You don't have to say it like that. Lose 44 pounds, get plastic surgery, and look 20 years younger. Then I'll let you wear it." I bit my lip and looked down while the wedding march played. Why do I have to be spoken to like this? Unaware of my sinking spirits, the ceremony proceeded smoothly. After the toast, it was time for the bride and groom to change outfits. The atmosphere in the venue remained pleasant as small talk started at each table. After a while, John's cousin and his wife came to our table to greet us. We stood up to meet them and exchanged congratulations. After the cousin couple moved to the next table, I sat down following my in-laws. The moment I sat down, I felt something cold splash on my face. John had thrown beer at me. I was too shocked to speak. John yelled at me. "A wife is supposed to stand! Isn't that common sense?" "John, wait a minute." "Stay standing until we visited all the tables. Don't you know even that much? Typical high school graduate." "John, what are you saying?" It's okay, everyone. Please sit down. I'm sorry, my son seems to be mistaken. My mother-in-law quickly took out a lace handkerchief and wiped my face. Watching the drops trickle down from my bangs, I felt an intense rage. I couldn't stand it anymore. I didn't care if he was the father of my child. I was ready to expose everything in front of the relatives and shatter his unnecessary high pride. While John was berating me, a woman who had been silently observing everything approached. She had been sitting at the friends table of William's wife and came over as soon as John sat down. Oh, it's really him. That's the guy who approached us at the hotel bar. What happened? Oh, right! The man who hit on us despite wearing a wedding ring. John turned pale-faced at Mia's revelation. Mia's friend spoke loudly enough for other tables to hear. What was it again? If you become my woman, you can live in luxury. I'll buy you a mansion or anything. Right, that's what he said. My wife lives off me. Whether I cheat or spend a fortune on other women, I won't let her complain. Yeah, he was boasting like that. I felt sorry for his wife. Wait, is that his wife? Your sister? What? Mia's sister is married to that flirtatious man? Why is Mia here? Oh, she's a friend of William's wife. Mia, who came over with friends from the same table, exaggeratedly showed up surprised upon seeing my face. Although it was clearly an act, it was going according to plan, as it shocked John. John's parents looked confused as they glanced between Mia, her friends, and John. You approached women, even though you're married? No, Dad, don't believe what they're saying. John, sweating profusely, tried to make excuses. Are you saying my sister and her friends are lying? I confronted John. If you think it's a lie, shall we check the date and time? It should match exactly with the day you were away on business. John's face twisted as Mia and her friends mentioned the specific date and time, precisely when John had been away on business. It was precisely the day John was away on a business trip. This man is incredibly stingy. He hardly provides for living expenses, despite his high salary at a big corporation. He's about to become a father, but all he thinks about is having fun for himself. Handsome or not, it's off-putting. Mia's friends laughed, and John turned red and looked down. His friends looked at him with dismay. You're the head of the family. What are you doing? Don't embarrass us, please. No, Mom, it's not like that. Emily, do something. What am I supposed to do? My sister and her friends are just stating the facts. As I coldly rebuffed him, John got angry. If it's a fact, then show some proof. Did you record my words or something? You didn't, did you? At that, Mia and her friends fell silent. After they quietly returned to their table, John glared at me. So, you were plotting with your sister to embarrass me, right? That woman being at my business trip hotel was also a setup, from the start, wasn't it? I couldn't have done it without knowing the hotel you stayed in. You're cunning. You looked it up, didn't you? Well, it doesn't matter. You'll remember when we get home. As the bride and groom, who had changed outfits, re-entered, I ignored John's words and focused on the stage. Next was the time for the bride and groom to go round the tables of the guests, a table round. They were going to perform a candle service, lighting the candles. Suddenly, I noticed that John, who had been angry just moments ago, was gazing at William's wife with a wicked smile. On the other hand, William's wife was turning her face away from John in an unnatural manner. As the two left, John, for some reason, brought his glass of beer closer to William's wife and spilled beer on her dress. Oops, my hand slipped. Come on, John. This is troublesome. It's a rental. John immediately offered help to the lamenting William's wife. I'm sorry. It's probably better to wash it off right away, right? I'll go to the restroom and William can go around the tables alone. No, it's weird to separate during the ceremony. I'll go with him. Don't worry about it. We need to finish within the scheduled time. But William's wife looked troubled next to a hesitant William. That's when I came to the rescue. Was it William? You shouldn't leave them alone. John, you were trying to woo William's wife earlier. I saw it. William was surprised. Is this a lie? Don't say weird things. John shouted in a panicked manner. What the hell? Are you trying to disrupt the happy mood since earlier? I hate it too, but it was you who made it like this. I looked up at William's wife and spoke in a strong tone. William's wife? It's better to say it early. Don't endure it. William's wife must have gained courage from my words, as she looked at William with determined eyes and began to speak. William, what everyone is saying is true. When I went to the restroom earlier, John tried to woo me. William and John have been close friends since childhood, right? I didn't say anything because I was afraid it would ruin their relationship. But why should I endure it? William's wife glared at John and spoke in a stern tone. I remember every word. I'm going to tell everything. Stop it. Ignoring John's attempt to interrupt her, William's wife continued to speak with her voice echoing throughout the venue. He said, I'm smarter than William, and work at a better company. You'd benefit more from being with me. Anyway, give me a call when you get back from your honeymoon. Really? Between this and the incident with Emily's sister and her friend, he's truly a man without common sense. John looked flustered as he alternated between glancing at William's wife and William's angry face. William, you wouldn't believe a woman like her, right? We're best friends. Have you forgotten all the fun we had when we were kids? To John, who was speaking rapidly, William responded coldly. You should trust her. Hey, I knew you had a bad reputation with women, but trying to seduce a bride is ridiculous. Even if you're smart, I'm more decent as a person than you. William's anguished voice caused a stir in the venue. Why aren't the bride and groom coming to our table? They're just standing there. It seems John tried to woo William's wife, and William is angry. Huh? Well, he has every right to be angry. What's that guy thinking? Relatives who learned of the situation began to criticize John, one after another. John is handsome and the family's rising star, but he's always acted so high and mighty. He's still like that, even in his 40s. No growth at all. No matter how smart he is, he's morally despicable. He's a disgrace to the family. John's face turned red from his neck in no time as he listened to their comments. He's such a lousy guy. Maybe William should end their friendship. William is way cooler than that middle-aged guy. Shut up! John, who had stood up, shouted loudly throughout the venue. I was just teasing the bride a little, but she took it seriously. I invited her just to see if she'd easily fall for another man. It's a good thing she's not the type to be swayed by a random guy like that. You should thank me. Yeah. John exploded in anger at William, who smiled at the corner of his mouth. I bothered to attend this event, but it's enough. This ridiculous wedding is a waste of time. Dad, Mom, Emily, we're leaving. If you want to leave, go ahead. John was surprised when I announced this. I looked John straight in the eyes and made a clear declaration. I won't go back to that room anymore. I won't be living with you from now on. In reality, I wanted to present the divorce papers right here, but it would be uncouth to do it at the wedding, so I planned to send them to John later. I don't even want to see your face. Go home, quickly. It's bothering other people if you stay here forever. Saying that, John was momentarily stunned. Then he exploded in anger. It must be unbearable for him to be defied by me, who was usually obedient. Are you taking the child away from me? A competent father like me? There's no way a low-level mother like you can raise the child properly. You can leave, but hand over the child to me. I won't hand this child over to you. Then I'll hire a lawyer and fight for it. I'm obviously in a better position, being the superior one. What's advantageous about a dumb father? You're still completely out of touch with reality. I sighed in exasperation. Then, Mia, who had been silent for a while, stepped forward and handed John her business card. This is from me. If you'd like, I can introduce you to some acquaintances. The head of a law firm. The one that's a major player in the state. You knew about it? You're quite well informed, big brother. Mia smiled. I didn't know your sister was a lawyer. Why didn't you tell me? Oh, did you want to know? I thought I'd spare your needlessly high pride from being wounded. That's right. Big brother seems to have a misunderstanding. So, let me clarify. My sis may have only graduated from high school, but she prioritized her illness treatment and gave up her overseas studies. She had been accepted to Oxford University, but it's a shame she didn't go. Huh? Well, it's not something to brag about, so I didn't mention it. Our eldest brother graduated from Oxford University, and our younger brother graduated from Harvard University. Quite an international bunch, don't you think? John stared at me as if he had seen an alien. That's a lie! It can't be true! Emily can't answer any quiz show questions. Because if I said I understood, your pride would be hurt, right? You believe you're smarter than me, and your daily routine is to belittle me. I can answer all those questions. In fact, should I tell John the answers before he figures them out next time? I hope your child takes after me, and doesn't turn out to be a fool like you. Exposed to the gaze of the bride and groom, as well as both sets of relatives, John must have felt embarrassed. John made a frustrated face and ran away from the scene. His parents hurriedly followed him, and the audience burst into laughter. With John and his parents gone, the wedding was canceled. William and William's wife decided to redo the reception with only their friends after discussing it. Although Mia and I apologized profusely to William and his wife for ruining their special day, William graciously forgave us. As I had declared to John, I stayed at Mia's house after the wedding. I had planned to stay in a hotel until I found a new place to live, but Mia invited me to her house. I arranged for a moving company and sent John the documents for alimony claims in the divorce trial the next day. Why do I have to pay alimony in the divorce trial? I just disciplined my wife. You're the one who decided to have a child on your own and raise it, so you're responsible for child support. I calmly conveyed this to John, who was shouting over the phone. Oh, I see. So you're okay with going to court. That will cost you extra money, you know. I will give you the apartment, so please give me half of the appraisal value. Alimony and appraisal value in the divorce trial will be paid in a lump sum, of course. If you ignore it, I'll sue you, so be prepared. Emily, spare me from paying alimony in the divorce trial. I have to pay it to William too, and when you add them together, all my savings will be gone. I said this while feeling disgusted with John's pitiful voice. After making me save so much, you must have accumulated savings. But it's strange that it would disappear due to alimony in the divorce trial, don't you think? Did you spend the extra money on another woman? John fell silent. It seemed I had hit a nerve. I wasn't even angry. I had anticipated that, so I set the alimony in the divorce trial at a high amount. Afterwards, John gave up and transferred the alimony to my account. According to a story I heard from a friend later, there was an employee from John's company among the participants at the wedding, and it seems they spread the story of how he had ruined the wedding within the company. Having lost the trust of his superiors, John was transferred to a different department, and his salary was significantly cut. Although John was still able to perform his job, he had been quite popular among the female employees until now. But as soon as he fell from the elite path, he was completely ignored. John, who had completely lost his confidence, quickly spiraled down. His former coolness disappeared, and now he had a disheveled appearance with gray hair and a worn-out suit. It is said that when he occasionally spoke to female employees, they all screamed and ran away. I successfully gave birth to a healthy son, and since my parents' house is far away, I raised the child with the help of Mia. We moved into the apartment I bought with the alimony from the divorce trial, and when a spot opened up at the child care center, I entrusted the child there and started working at Mia's office. So far, child support has been deposited into my account every month without fail. Threatening to garnish his salary if he fell behind on child support seemed to be effective. Mia takes much better care of the child than John ever did. Now that there's no father in the picture, I plan to shower both of them with love and raise my child carefully.